So let's work with this piece here. Now, just because it runs horizontally doesn't mean in our UV space it has to run horizontally. So I'm going to rotate it around 90 degrees so it runs vertically. Scale it back. Scale it in a little bit. We're going to use that part of the texture in there. Again, we're going to have this problem where we're just going to have to rotate it slightly. You see I turn angle snap on and off quite a bit. I turn it on when I want to get a 90 degree, 45 degree rotation, but I'll turn it off here where I want to have a bit more control over having the rotation slightly not 90 degrees or 45 degrees. Do the same thing with this one here. Scale it in, scale it in. Alright, I'm just going to close that down and have a look at that. And that's looking pretty good. Now it's a bit too wide though, because you notice these pieces here are inset a lot more than the ones at the top, so it's no big deal. All we have to do is grab our, make sure we're out of UV mode there. And we're just going to scale it in. About half the width, so something like that. That should work for us. I'm going to open my UV editor just because I want to make sure that all of my UVs are in the 0 to 1 space, because like I said, we have some that are outside of that space here. So I'm just going to select them all and move them in. Now these are not being seen, so it really doesn't matter where I put them. The same with this. This is the actual back of the piece of geometry, but because the back sits right up against the plane, we're never going to see it. So I'm going to scale it right down. And I'm just going to move it in, maybe in there. And that just makes sure all of my UVs are in 0 to 1 space. Otherwise we may have some problems when we import it into Unreal. It will complain. So before we fix our 0 to 1 spacing on these pieces, let's just make a copy of this one. So back into my front viewport. Again, make sure I'm out of UV mode there. Hold down the shift key and we'll copy that piece of geometry over here. And again, I just want to check. I have a feeling this one may be a little wider. Yeah, I'm just going to scale it up just a little bit, just in the X direction. The Y direction should be good. And again though, we're going to make sure our map and peel seams are off. Open up our UV editor. Again, we'll make that a bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. I just want to copy those UVs across to the texture map on the opposite side, just so it's a little bit more unique. Because we scaled our geometry up there, we're going to scale it up here just a little bit as well. Again, just in the X direction. Going the wrong way. Okay. That should be good. Turn that off. Turn that off. It looks like the edge there is just a little bit off, so I'm just going to jump back into my unwrap UVW. select our UV. Let me just move it over just a little bit. I'm going to go into my orthographic here and have a look at that. No, it's okay. It's the edge that I'm looking at. It's fine. Alright. Let's fix our UVs here for these ones. So again, I'm just going to open my UV editor. UVW editor, I should say. Again, we're just going to make sure all of our UVs are actually inside of that model here. I'm going to scale them in a bit. Okay, that's good. Let's do the same for this one. Now, if I'd done that prior to me copying all of these across, then I wouldn't have to do it for each one, but hey, live and learn. It's easy to forget something like that sometimes. Let's move them in, scale them in. Okay, that's this last one up the top here. Now, if you didn't want to have the UVs there at all, what you could do is you could delete the polygons from that back edge. It's a game model, that will probably be the best thing for you to do. I'm not going to do it because I'm not making a game. I'm going to do a cinematic. I'm creating a model in Unreal, so it, you know, you'll be able to run through it, but I'm not making a full-on game, so I'm not going to do it. But usually what you probably do is you delete those polygons on the back edge there that you're not seeing, that sits against that back border, and that way you won't have those UVs to worry about anyway, and you make your model a little bit lighter as far as polys go. But we're not going to have a lot of polys back there anyway. There's really only going to be, you know, 4 sort of thing, maybe 8 because it's when it's triangulated. Let's just angle our model here so we can see what we're working on. So we have our top border, our 2 bottom borders here. What else can we do? Let's do the borders here. That border that runs along the length of the model piece. And again, we're going to cheat and let's use this one here. We can use any of them, but we'll use one that's closest to the size that we want. So again, I'm just going to hold down the Shift key and I'm going to actually work in my front viewport here. So Shift key and drag a copy. And scale it up. Just move that out of the way so I can see exactly what I'm doing here. Again, I'm going to turn off map and peel seams. So you can scale up just a little bit more. Okay, let's scale it in. Let's turn off our unwrap and jump back to our edit poly. Okay, Now, let's select these verts here. It's just starting to get a bit more fiddly to work with our verts because our geometry is squished a bit. Let's pull them up. Yeah, we're going to start having a problem here because of, it looks like I may have missed a vert actually. What am I doing here? I think for this one, what we'll do is instead of trying to squash our geometry to fit the border in the background, I might actually slice our mesh up a bit more. So I'm going to do a quick slice through here. And I'll do one through here as well. I'm also going to do one through the sides here, so there and there. I'll do the same thing here on the bottom. It may be actually quicker for us to recreate the mesh for this one because we're having to stretch this piece of geometry quite a lot to fit that fit the texture in the background. And it may actually be easier and quicker for me to recreate it again. Also because I don't want quite so much of a curve on them, so I'm going to do it that way instead of doing it this way. I'm going to jump back into my box here and just fit a box that I want to the size that I want it, so like that. Again, I'm just going to jump into my top viewport and move it forward. And make sure I adjust my height because it's way too thick. I'm just gauging it based on the ones at the bottom here, so that should be good. Let's just turn edged faces on again. Throw down an edit poly. Make sure we loop our selection. I'm just going to move that up. Make sure we loop our selection. We'll move this one down. And this one over. Let's make sure we select our inner faces here and we can delete them. Okay, I'm going to turn my edge faces off now. Now I'm just going to move that off of the mesh for a minute so I can make sure that my lines are lining up here. Looks like these ones have to be up a little higher, so I'm just going to select the verts here on the inside edges and move it up. Same with these, I'm going to move these down. Looks like the ones on the inside edge, difficult to say. We may move them in a bit, but it looks like the edges here are more narrow than the top, so hold down the control key and select both of those. I'm just going to move them in. Not in, out I should say. I'll do the same on this side. Okay, that should be good. Let's just move our mesh over our background again. Alright, let's assign that texture to that new piece of geometry. Throw down and unwrap UEW. Let's open that up. Okay. Alright, we're going to do the same thing we did last time. I'm going to select everything and do a flatten mapping. You could do a box mapping, that would work for you as well. Flatten mapping will work for me. Now I want to make sure I select the UVs on the front face and not the back face, so it's going to be this one here. Just going to move that over. That means I know that this back face I'm never going to see, so I'm just going to move it all to the side so I don't get confused. Select that one. Let's scale it down a little bit. Again, I'm holding down the shift key to constrain it to the Y and not the X. So it's this piece in here. I'm just looking at my model to see exactly which part of the texture that geometry maps to. Move that over a bit. I had my UV thing here hiding my chat, so. And it looks like that goes to just above there, so it needs to scale it down just a little bit more. Now I need to scale it up just a little bit more. Just a tad more. Let's scale it out now in the X direction. I'm just going to deselect it and look in my viewport here to make sure that that looks right. That looks okay. Let's work on our side pieces now to make sure that they match up. Again though, I'm just going to close that for a minute. I want to make sure I'm not in my front viewport. I want to go into my orthographic here. So let's fix these side textures now. Which one is that? It's that one there. Right. So you'll notice here, and it's just something to keep in mind when you're doing your UV mapping in Max. I don't know what it's like in Blender, but if I select that UV here in the viewport, it doesn't select the entire UV piece, even though I have entire object selected here. So selecting in the viewport allows you to select individual UV pieces, but if you want to select the entire UV strip here in our case, make sure you always do it in the UV editor itself. That'll grab everything. Let's move this one over and scale it down. Again, I'm going to scale it down only in the Y direction, not in the X direction. But I don't want to make it any narrower. Again, I'm doing that just by holding down the shift key. I'm going to scale it up to be about the same length as that piece here on the side. scale it up just a bit more. Again, you see I zoom right in to get finer control over my scale. If I scale from way back here, it's going to be very difficult for me to control it. Okay, and this will be the other side, so let's do the same thing again. Alright, now let's use that part of the texture there for these side pieces. So, that one there. You should be able to fit both of them together here. Very careful without overlapping them. Okay. And now let's work on these two top pieces here. Let's use that part of the texture up there. We could still use the... let's just use the side pieces here. I could rotate it and use it that way, but why even bother rotating it when we can just use these side pieces? And let's also fix our UVs here. This is a piece we're not using, so I'm just going to scale it down. And again, when I mean not using, it's the piece that sits at the back here that you're never going to see. I'm just going to move that into the middle there. Okay. Now, I think what I do want to do here though is just chamfer those edges a little bit. We could probably get away without doing that because that is such a small piece of geometry there that we're working with. Let's do it anyway. Just because, like I say to you guys all the time, I hate hard edges. I really do. So we're going to just chamfer them a little bit. Max's viewport sometimes can be really fiddly to work with too, for some reason. Sometimes it, you know, I can scroll around properly, but other times Max just goes mad. Quirk of Max, I guess. But instead of doing it again in the edit poly, I'm going to throw down a chamfer modifier. Before I do that though, I am going to put an edit poly down, just so I can select the edges I want to chamfer. And again, we're only really interested in the inner edges here. Come on, Max. That one, that one, that one. And that one. Zoom in a bit here so I can get a closer view. Now I'm going to throw down the chamfer modifier. We'll go to 3 again. I'm going to pull back on the width here. Now, what are you doing? Stay. Let me delete that for a minute. There seems to be something going on. Just gonna check what it's doing. That's fine. That's fine. Let's try again. No, you don't like it. Why is that? Let's try the modifier. I just want to see what's going on here. See, it works on the modifier. That's very strange. Just doesn't like it when I throw the modifier on as a separate piece for some reason. There's something weird going on there. Let's turn that off. Try it again. No, it doesn't like that for some reason. Okay. Why are you doing that? Must be a reason you don't like it. What is it? I'm going to go into vertex mode here, and I have a feeling I may have selected the back edge. Let's try working with one edge at a time, just so I can see exactly what it's having a problem with. Oh, I know what it is. When we removed the inner polygons, we didn't bridge the hole in the middle, so there's no sides to these inner pieces. That's the problem. So that's okay, that's easy enough to fix. We're going to select these two edges. We're just going to bridge them. That was my mistake, I completely forgot about that. Now we are going to have to UV map this before we do a chamfer now, so let's do that. So again, I'm going to throw an unwrap on top. It'll keep our UVs that are already there. Open our UVW editor. Make sure we have our map showing in the background. We're going to have to see now. You see, it's already selected those UVs because I just worked in the modifier stack with those edges. So Max knows that they're the UVs that I want. Don't do this. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to break them from the rest of the UV. Again, I'm going to do a flatten mapping. Just going to move them up off to the side here. And we're just going to have to move them into position again like we did last time. Now, I'm just going to move these ones. I'm actually going to move them up to the top there. So for the moment, I'm just going to move them off to the edge because I want to use this for these longer pieces. I'm going to rotate them around. You can see I didn't have my angle snap on there. I really need it on so I can get a proper 90-degree angle. And again, let's scale them up so that they better match that piece of geometry lengthwise. Okay, we're going to scale them in a little bit as well. And move them over. Just going to move them up a little bit too. And these will be the top and the bottom, so let's move them over here near our other ones. They're actually rotated the right direction. Let's rotate these ones around 90 degrees. Okay, let's scale these ones out a bit, down a bit. We're going to move them up to the top here. And we'll do the same with those. So that should be good. Alright, now that we've done that, let's do our chamfer again. So again, I'm going to throw down an edit poly. I'm going to collapse my stack in a minute as well. Now we'll select our edges. We'll throw down a chamfer modifier. And that's better. Again, we're going to go to 3 segments, but I don't want it to be quite that chamfered, so I'm going to pull it back a bit and just round it up a bit more as well. That should be good. I'm going to collapse my stack now, just to keep everything neat and tidy. Let's jump back into our front viewport. And I'm just going to copy that over by holding down the shift key to this side. Again, I'm going to throw an unwrap on. I'm just going to move my UVs across so that the texture is slightly different. So it's this one here. Again, I'm just holding down the shift key to constrain it to the one direction. That should be good. Actually, what was going on there? Alright. Let's just jump back into our orthographic here and have a look at what we've done. Okay, so now we have a bit more depth happening on our panels. There's just a couple of pieces I still want to add some depth information to. Maybe a shelf through here. And maybe just up the top there, but I think we may leave it there for today, guys. We'll continue working on this tomorrow, and then we'll take it in, export it so we can bring it into the Unreal Engine. We made a good start on it though. There's only a few little bits and pieces now, like I said, that I want to add a bit more depth to. The top here and maybe the shelf through here. But aside from that, we're just about done with this panel, which is good. And like I said, it gives us a bit more depth to work with. When we bring it into Unreal and put some lighting in, it'll help to just to give it a bit more interest when light starts to spill across it. Sniper Echo is asking, Phil, what's the name of that software you use specifically for doing UVs? Specifically, you're talking about not in Max here, Sniper Echo. There's a program called Unfold 3D, but I tend to work in Max as much as I can. I don't use that program a lot. That is just a UVing program though. By all means have a look at it if you want to check it out. Unfold 3D it's called. But as much as I can, I try to work in Max's Unwrap UVW. Yeah. Go for Xenon says if you want to avoid the texture turning black when you look at it from the side, open the material editor and turn the self-illumination to 100. Yeah, that's true. Or just go up here and go constant colors. And that'll stop it as well. If I go into my material editor and turn self-illumination on up to 100, that'll work, like you said. It'll make it basically what that is doing is what I've just done here, and turn on constant colors. I've been working in shaded viewport, but that's what's causing that. But If you turn constant colors on, then that does the same thing. But that's a good point. So go for Xenon. Thank you for suggesting that. Oh, and thank you SVolt87 and Go for Xenon for following me on my Twitch channel too. I do appreciate it, guys. So yeah, if you turn on constant colors, if you're using Max, that'll fix that shading problem as well. That shadowing is Max's iterative rendering thing that they have going on in their viewport, but it's not shadowing it at all. Sniper Record Unfold 3D, that's it. Okay, yep, that's the program. All it does is UV mapping. I will use it sometimes. I tend, like I said, though, to try and use Max's built-in unwrap UVW because it works pretty well. No problem. Like I said, I'm here to help you guys, so yeah, just turn on constant colors and you don't have to mess with your materials. Particularly if you're working on a model that maybe has 20 materials, having to go through every one to turn on to make it 100% a bit of a pain. So just turn on constant colors. But we will leave it there for today, guys. I will be back on again tomorrow at 5 PM Pacific time in the US, which will be 11 AM in Australia, which is at the moment 12 AM in the UK, so wherever else you are around the world. It's always 5 PM Pacific time in the US that I'm live. Smurfberry Barbecue, it's good to see you. A pretty fancy looking wood panel I got here. Yeah, well, this is the one we're going to be taking into Unreal so when we do our Art Deco building. Sniper Ricker says, yeah, the Blender unwrap tool is not as clean as Max. Oh, okay. Maybe there's a plugin or something you can get for Blender. I don't know, does Blender have plugins? I know Max had one before they improved the UVW editor that I used to use, but since the later versions of Max, the unwrap built into Max has been pretty good. You're quite welcome, Sniper Echo, and thank you, Smurfberry Barbecue, for popping in, and thank you, Go for Xenon, and for Volt87, all you guys, for popping in and saying hello. It's always great when I chat to you guys in chat. I will be back on again tomorrow. Remember, guys, because daylight savings has started in the US, I will be an hour earlier. So, like I said, it's always 5 PM Pacific time in the US. So, wherever else you are around the world, just do a Google search for Pacific time, and when it gets to 5 PM Pacific time, that's when I start streaming. It's just with daylight savings and things happening all around the world and finishing here, it all gets very confusing sometimes. Yeah, it does. Gee, Go for Xenon says time zone suck. It's 3 AM already for him. No problem, I understand. 3 AM is pretty late. Smurfberry says he's going to have to get a better phone, so you can stream me on the train. Cool. And a better data plan. Yeah, the data plans in this country are really bad. They're really expensive. They give you very little data and they're really expensive for mobile phones. And Smurfberry says time zones are an Illuminati plot. Well, maybe. They're certainly annoying, that's for sure. You guys are nuts. I will be back on again tomorrow though, guys, 5 PM Pacific time in the US. Like I said, do a Google search when it hits 5 PM Pacific time in the US, that's when I'm streaming. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys have a good night. Have a good sleep for you guys where it's really early in the morning. I'll be back on again tomorrow at 5 PM. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and for watching. I really do appreciate it, guys. And all you guys that followed my Twitch channel too, that's great of you. Like I said, if you're not sure when I'm going to be live, keep an eye on my Twitter page, at PhilDoes3D. I always post 15 minutes before I'm about to go live there. I'm going to be streaming under the 3D modeling community now on Twitch, now that there's an official 3D modeling community for us 3D artists. So that's where you'll find me there as well. See you guys tomorrow. Good night, Go for Xenon. Good night, Sniper Echo, Smurfberry Barbecue, and SVolt87. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out, and I'll be back on again tomorrow. See you guys.